SmallRig and Tilta, they're two brands that you've most likely have heard of before, and we're going to be comparing these two follow focus systems right here. These are pretty much your manual follow focus systems that you chuck on a rail, put on the side of your manual lenses, and you pull focus with these. There are a couple of cool little features that are very similar, and actually the build quality is pretty much similar, but we're going to be getting through that today. And there are obviously a couple of other ways that you can pull focus, which is, you know, your just regular rip and grip, or your follow focus systems, which are wireless. So it really depends on what you go for, but I know a lot of people actually utilize some of these ones. So we're going to compare them, see which one's best, see which one would probably suit you in terms of the budget, because they do have slightly different pricing. So yeah, let's get into this video. And this video is actually sponsored by Squarespace, but more on Squarespace later on. So let's see what pretty much comes in the box with these two. So right in the box, you get the Tilta pocket follow focus system. You get one 15mm rod, which is about 100mm long. You also have a single rod holder, a focus gear ring, and two L-shaped Allen keys to fit what is on the follow focus system. All in a really nice hard case box. And the SmallRig system comes with the follow focus itself, the 15mm rod, which is about 100mm long also, and it comes with one Allen key. And it actually comes with a NATO rail, which can be utilized in so many different circumstances, which accepts that 15mm rod. So when it comes to the build quality, they are built slightly different. The Tilta one actually feels a little bit more plasticky. That's very surprising. There is a little bit of metal when it comes to some of the casings and some of the things that need to be metal for it to be really structurally sound. But the rest of it is relatively, I suppose, light plastic. And I'm assuming they did that to make it a little bit lighter, because this does feel a little bit lighter than the SmallRig one. The SmallRig one is pretty much like a full metal build, and there is actually very limited amounts of plastic on this one. So in terms of build quality, I would have to say the SmallRig one definitely wins out against the Tilta one. Now, one of the main features actually comes with the hard stops, and the SmallRig hard stop is this little finger that clips forward and then you can flick it back, whereas the Tilta one is like a little latch that you sort of flick forward and backwards. And it really comes down to personal preference, but in all honesty, I think Tilta, you know, nudge SmallRig out of this one. It does seem like it's more practical, it's more slimline, so it's not going to get in the way of anything. And I just feel like it's a little bit better on the Tilta one, but same again, personal preference to which one you actually prefer. Much of a muchness, but I would have to edge Tilta with this one. Now, they both do have that 0.8 gear pitch ratio, which obviously will suit pretty much most manual lenses, and they are pretty much designed for that same gear pitch, which is great. And the great thing about these ones is that you can actually swap sides of where the actual cog is going to be. So you can put it on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. And the Tilta one is just as simple as screwing it off and then screwing it onto here. SmallRig, a little bit more complex. You do actually have to screw it off, but take off one of the caps on the other side and then screw it in and replace the cap on the other side. The cap just makes it look a little bit more tidier, and the Tilta one, you know, doesn't have that cap. So that's the only difference there, but they pretty much work exactly the same when it comes to switching them from left side to right side. Now, when it comes to angling the follow focus, they are slightly different here. Now, in terms of the SmallRig one, it is relatively, you know, out of the way, whereas the Tilta one actually is a lot closer to the body and just a little bit more streamlined where it actually goes. And I do feel like the Tilta one is slightly better build because it is slightly, you know, closer to the body. It's not going to get in the way. The SmallRig one does sort of poke out a little bit more, but you can actually, you know how you sort of pull it out and then twist the little knob thing to get it out of the way. But that's the very, very small difference there. And I do feel like the Tilta one is just a slightly better build in that retrospect. Now, where it actually matters is this 15mm rod tightener here. This part is actually metal on the Tilta one. It's just the rest of it is plastic. So that's the one that you do want to be metal, because if you are cranking this onto a 15mm rod, you want to be putting it pretty tight because you don't want this to slip or move and pull out of the way, and that's a good thing for the Tilta that they've done that with this one. And like I said, the SmallRig one is a very big beast, and it's full metal, very limited amounts of plastic, and they have designed that better in terms of obviously being metal, but much of a muchness when it comes to the 15mm rod location. Now, in terms of the hard stop stoppers, these ones you can screw in a little bit more so they're actually much more solid, or you can slightly loosen them so when you actually get to that hard stop, you can push a little bit past it, which most likely a lot of people will actually do if they are filming moving subjects. They just need a rough guesstimate of where that spot is. Now, I actually have lost the one that's in the SmallRig one, and obviously don't know where that is, because for the main reason, I don't actually use these too much. I use either rip and grip or I use wireless follow focus systems. These ones only come out once in a very, very blue moon, and yeah, but they are still good to have just in case if you do want to utilize these for your follow focus systems. So like I said earlier, this video is actually sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace obviously is an all-in-one online platform that you can actually utilize and showcase all your professional work, which obviously Instagram is not really that professional, but I still have a lot of work on Instagram. But some people are like, yeah, why don't you have all your professional work on here? What, do you even have any work, or do you just play with these fancy gears? And like, come on, it's all on my website. That's what website's for. It's on my Squarespace website. But Squarespace is also good because you can actually have an online shop, and that's where I sell a lot of my LUTs, and that's where I sell my one-on-one coaching as well. And it's really good because there's a whole bunch of templates that you can follow, which are really easy and make it very stylistic and easy to design, and obviously easy to use. And obviously the greatest thing about having a website is that, you know, clients can actually contact you directly through that. And it just looks so much more professional. You'll get sent an email with an online contact form, and it just makes it so much easier for those clients to approach you rather than, you know, just sliding into your DMs or not even knowing that you exist. So definitely have a website. That's a big thing when it comes to professional work. So make sure you use the link in the description below, squarespace.com/Jason Morris. But let's get back into the review of these. But thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video, and let's see which one's better. Now, in terms of the white marker system, now this one is a little bit thicker on the Tilta as opposed to the SmallRig. Much of a muchness with this one. The only benefit that I can see with the SmallRig one is that it actually has some indents into it, so you can actually have some reference markers, but you know, you're gonna be using a texter anyway, or a Sharpie on the side of here, or a whiteboard marker, because you probably wanna be wiping it off. But much of a muchness when it comes to this white marker location. And when it comes to the grip, they're both rubberized grips, and they look just as good as each other, and they perform just as well as each other. They both just as grippy. I can't see any difference when it comes to that one. This is one of the key differences between these two in terms of presentation and actually packing it away. Tilta actually have a very nice hard case that actually this, you know, comes with, which is really cool, and obviously is going to increase the life of this thing, considering that it is all plastic. But you can keep it nice and safe, throw this into your backpack, throw this into your car, throw this into your boxes, wherever you're going to be storing these and taking these to set. It's just really good to have these options, and Tilta definitely do edge out when it comes to packaging and durability in terms of the packaging. Now, when it comes to the wired focus puller that you can actually attach into here, it's not actually very common to see these days, because a lot of people will actually utilize this and pull off the camera and just a little bit to the side, and you probably actually haven't seen these before. I actually seen these in film school, because we did actually use that in the first couple of years of film school. Essentially, you're just standing right next to the cinematographer, and you're just on the side, and it's just this hard wire that connects directly into here, and you can sort of stand a little bit further backwards. And they aren't really very widely used these days, because it comes down to wireless follow focus systems and all those kind of things, and you know, manually focusing isn't really much of a thing these days. But at least both of these still have that option for you if you do want to utilize these. Now, at the time of making this video, Tilta do actually sell this one here for $69 US. Now, it is cheaper than the SmallRig one. The SmallRig one is actually $99 US. So there is that $30 US difference. And when it comes to the build quality, you can obviously tell that they've saved money by putting plastic into this as opposed to the full metal design of the SmallRig. Now, much of a muchness, obviously the metal one should be more durable and the plastic one, you know, may have a bit of a shelf life in terms of, you know, usability and potentially cracking. I can't speak for that because I won't be using these very, very often and I won't be throwing them around, but you would imagine that the SmallRig would be more durable over time. But in terms of the price, you know, if you do want to go for that nice stylistic look and the budget option, Tilta is the way to go because it's $69 US, and that could be a big determining factor if you're going to be picking this one up over the SmallRig one. Now, they both do wireless follow focus systems in terms of, you know, having those kind of systems, and Tilta has been around a while with their Tilta Nucleus Nano and also the Tilta Nucleus M. Now, SmallRig only just brought their Magic Fizz out, which, you know, is relatively good in terms of the comparisons between the two. Tilta do edge out when it comes to a little bit of the technology and the usability, but SmallRig have a few, you know, pros as well. But that pretty much caps up these two and the comparisons. If you want to pick these up, the links will be in the description below. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, give it a thumbs up. That would be absolutely amazing. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's get it.